What is going on today, guys? AU here, and today we are finally bringing you, after about 3 months, 2 months maybe, 2 or 3 months of no VGC content. We're back with VGC content. Like I said last Thursday, Rillaboom has me really excited to play VGC again. I feel like Rillaboom has opened up a lot of the meta. It was just closed off without it, and I'll explain that a little bit more when I get into it. But I do want to say that if you are new here, subscribe, because I am posting Pokemon videos like this pretty much every day. Usually 4 days a week. If I miss a day, it's probably Wednesday. But usually every day. Really focusing on trying to get quality out there instead of quantity right now. Just to get the channel kind of back to where I wanted it to be. But if you are new, like I said, like and subscribe, because that's what's going to help me the most. And we're going to jump right into this. This is going to be a team builder. So if you remember how I used to do my VGC videos, for those who have been here for a while, we do a team builder on one day, and then we do a battle video on the next day. So if you are seeing this video, check the description and the end screen. Once I post the battle video, it'll be at the end screen of this video. It'll also be in the description. But if you're watching this the date as it comes out, come back tomorrow and you will see this team in action. But I kind of want to take this team and just break it down, because I feel like this team is a really good team for people who are learning, for people who are good at the game. It's just a really great team to practice with. I made this team while I was coaching, and I made it as a practice team just because I feel like it has all the matchup, it has the good matchups that you need. It has the Pokemon. This team is very matchup centric, so depending on what your opponent has, the way you play your team is going to be a little bit different, outside of like the gimmick teams, where your gimmick is going to be what you go for almost every single time, no matter what the opponent brings. But before yesterday, I had just been messing around with VGC. I wasn't pushing ladder like I used to, so I was around like the 1400s. I think right now I'm around the 1800s. I passed 1800 at one point on Showdown, which is like top 200 on the ladder. I think I might have dropped down a little bit. I did lose a couple games right before this, so I'm around top 300 on the ladder, somewhere around there. And definitely still going up. Like I said, I'm just still casually playing, like I'm not even really trying to push. But this team is really good. Rillaboom opens up the doors for so many things that were closed before. So like if you look at VGC teams before Rillaboom came out, you're gonna see Conkeldurr on everything, because it's just the best thing that goes up against Sand and it goes up against Trick Room. Rillaboom is able to take the place of Conkeldurr. The ability to run AV on Rillaboom is a great AV Pokemon. It gets Fake Out. Drum Beating plus Drain Punch is really good versus Sand teams. Drum Beating is really good versus Rhyperior. It is also a Pokemon that wins against Sand teams and Rotom Wash at the same time, which is huge, because Rotom Wash was always a problem for me when building teams, because we didn't really have that reliable grass type coverage or grass type Pokemon to put on teams that wasn't Venusaur. So Rillaboom opens that door up to Rotom Wash. Is now a little bit weaker, even though I do have it on this team, but it is a little bit weaker. And it has a great matchup with Sand teams with Drain Punch and Drum Beating. Drum Beating is an amazing move. It hits Gastrodon, which we couldn't really hit before. Like I said, no really good grass coverage or good grass Pokemon. Hits Milotic. The only thing with Milotic is that you're gonna give it a competitive boost. So hopefully you don't hit it until the point to where you know you can OHKO it. But yeah, so it lets you hit the bulky water types that we couldn't hit before. Lets you have a replacement for Conkeldurr, so now you don't have to have Conkeldurr on every single team. So now this is a Pokemon that's not weak to fairy types, but is also still weak to flying types. So if you don't want that extra fairy weakness on your team, then you put Rillaboom instead of Conkeldurr. If you don't want the extra fire weakness, you put Conkeldurr instead of Rillaboom. Grassy Surge is an amazing ability, which is why like this Pokemon wasn't great before, because like its damage output wasn't the best with Drum Beating. Its longevity wasn't the best because it didn't have the Grassy Surge recovery, but now it's just insanely good. It also Drum Beating, Grassy Surge reduces the attack of Earthquake, but only Earthquake, not Max Quake, not High Horsepower, not Earth Power, none of those, only Earthquake. So it's still pretty good. A lot of people are running Earthquake Excadrill beside Weakness Policy T-Tar. That can kind of help them, but at the same time kind of helps us, because they're doing less damage to our T-Tar, our Excadrill, and our Incinerator. So it's kind of like a 50-50 there. But I'm gonna go ahead and jump in on the team. Like I said, this has all the matchups that you'll need. You'll see we're running the Assault Vest Rillaboom. I just changed this like 3 games ago. My EV spread was a little bit different because I was trying to figure out EV spread where I could run a little bit of attack, some defenses that I needed, but I decided to just sack the attack. The attack that I had wasn't really making a difference, so this EV spread is going to live max airstream from Togekiss if it's not a crit, 2 air slashes from Togekiss. It's going to basically wall Excadrill and T-Tar. Like I said, a really good sand matchup. That's what those calcs are on the defense. And the reason I'm running completely min speed Rillaboom is because of Indeedee. Rillaboom and Indeedee speed tie. You're gonna want to run min speed on Rillaboom because if Indeedee is not running min speed, then you get Grassy Surge up, meaning you can fake out because they won't have Psychic Terrain. You can fake out the Indeedee, and you'll see on our Incineroar we have Taunt. As long as it's not Hatterene, you can taunt the Trick Room setter, which is great because then you can do some U-turn shenanigans and proc a weakness policy on your T-Tar, which is huge because once you get that weakness policy proc, usually it's Indeedee and Dusclops on the other side of the field, and they might have Torkoal and Rhyperior, 2 really common Pokemon in VGC and Trick Room. T-Tar hits Indeedee, Dusclops, it hits Torkoal, and it kind of hits Rhyperior with Superpower. You don't really want to hit Rhyperior with Superpower, but we also have Rotom and Rillaboom, and we'll have Incineroar to get that attack or the Intimidate off. So you want your Rillaboom to be min speed. If you're breeding for Rillaboom in game, breed at min speed. It's as simple as that. Like that's all you need. Because without it, your terrain is going to go up first, and then their terrain is going to go up second, and you are going to be sitting there not being able to fake out and not being able to taunt because the taunt will just get follow mead. Now, if the Indeedee is min speed, they speed tie. So it's a 50-50 on whose terrain goes up first. I don't know if certain terrains have a priority over other certain terrains. I think it's just a speed thing. If I'm wrong with that, definitely let me know. But that's the EV spread. That's what you're gonna want to breed for. This is the EV spread I feel like is the best. I didn't run extensive calcs. Like I said, it's just basically a team to learn with. If I was ever to take this team to a tournament, I'd probably run a more defensive calcs. I think special defense is where it needs to be. Defensive calcs is where you're going to want to run a couple more if you want to change up the set. Next, I went into Rotom because I was thinking, what's something we can help with Rillaboom? So Rillaboom has a bad Sun matchup, and it has a bad like fire type matchup in general, a bad Togekiss matchup. Where in my first draft of this team, we had Rotom Heat, which does very well against both of those. But then later on, I decided that Incineroar and Rillaboom are just way too strong together, so you definitely want those two on the same team. So I changed it to Rotom Wash. Rotom Wash still has a good Sun matchup, has a good Togekiss matchup, has a good Sand matchup, which is another thing that I was worried about because Sand versus Sand is kind of a 50-50, so you have to support yourself with other Pokemon that are going to give you the advantage when you're facing another Sand team. So Rotom Wash was where I went. I went with a speedy offense in Rotom Wash. I do have Will-O-Wisp on there just because Will-O-Wisp sometimes is very good. I've not changed anything on this Rotom set since I made it. I think it's great the way it is. If you want to have a bulkier Rotom, just put 252 HP and then put the 36 in the special attack, and then boom, you've got a bulkier Rotom that you can run with. I would use the exact same moves, same berry, everything outside of that. It's just Rotom Wash really complemented Rillaboom's weaknesses, and it helps out the rest of the team a good bit. Next we have the Tyranitar, which is the weakness policy, which is like I was saying before. You turn into your own Tyranitar, you get a weakness policy boost, you nuke something with max Rockball, max Darkness, or max Knuckle, which we have on our Tyranitar. You could also change Superpower to Fire Punch. I just don't want to change my weather, so I went with Superpower. This team doesn't have the best Durant matchup. The Incineroar is EV'd to live a -1 max Quake or max Rockfall from Durant and then kill it back with Flare Blitz. The only problem is a lot of Durants like to be paired beside Helping Hand. You can't fake out Helping Hand, so you have to get rid of the Helping Hand Pokemon before you can come in with Incineroar and actually deal back the damage that you need to deal. So you can U-turn with Incineroar or Rillaboom. Tyranitar is EV'd to be slower than Rillaboom. You can see Rillaboom is hitting 81, Tyranitar is hitting 80, our Incineroar is 86. So both of these Pokemon are faster than our Tyranitar. I didn't run a lot of calcs on Tyranitar. I just went 252 HP, 252 attack, adamant. I know there are some more mixed EVs, mixed defensive spreads out there, but it's kind of hard because I don't want to run any speed investment on T-Tar, so you have to either run HP attack and defense or HP attack and special defense. That way you're not wasting EVs whenever you go. So yeah, this is just a really standard T-Tar set. Outside of that, the interaction basically is between U-Turn, Weakness Policy with Rillaboom and Incinerator. Next, you have the Excadrill. I was debating on Focus Sash and Life Orb. Went with Life Orb because Life Orb Excadrill actually OHKOs another Dynamax Excadrill as long as they aren't Focus Sash or a defensive variant like the Weakness Policy variants. So if you're ever facing like a Mold Breaker Excadrill, you can always switch in your T-Tar. Your Excadrill is always faster. You go for Max Quake and pick up the KO. Run a high horsepower Iron Head Rock Slide Protect. The reason I'm not running Earthquake is because I have Grassy Surge on my own team. It wouldn't make any sense to run Earthquake with Grassy Surge on your own team. This Excadrill honestly is running through a lot of the meta for me right now. It kind of died off for a little bit, but I feel like since I've been playing again the past 2 days, for some reason it's picking up. I'm not entirely sure why. I think maybe it's just the fact that Sand Rush Excadrill is doing a lot better now. I don't think that Mold Breaker Excadrill is doing really good right now. Because I don't know, there's just a lot of faster Pokemon out there that threaten it, like Arcanine, Dragapult can lower its attack, Incineroar, like Dragapult plus Incineroar, Max Wormwind plus Intimidate just basically cripples Excadrill to a point to where like it's basically worthless. And that's another problem with this team. Our team is our team relies on the physical Pokemon more than it relies on the special Pokemon. So Intimidate from Incineroar, Arcanine. Arcanine's actually a lot worse than Incineroar to me, just because it's faster than Excadrill outside of Sand, whereas Incineroar's not, so I can still get a pretty big hit off of it. But Arcanines that are Intimidate plus Will-O-Wisp are a really hard problem because we can't OHKO and Max Quake after -1, so being faster than it doesn't really matter. If we're not faster than it, then they're just going to Will-O-Wisp us anyways. So it's kind of like, I don't know, Arcanine is a very hard matchup for this team. You have to make sure you bring Rotoms to those kind of matchups because T-Tar can also get Will-O-Wisp and stuff like that. The next slot was a little iffy because I was debating on Togekiss and Sylveon. When I put Sylveon on the team, I still had Rotom Heat on the team. And I didn't want another rock type weakness. So that was kind of the reason I went for Sylveon, but then when I changed Rotom Wash, I still didn't even feel the need like I needed Follow Me at all. I didn't feel the need for another bulky attacker. So I went with Sylveon. I don't need Follow Me. I don't want the extra weaknesses. All Sylveon is weak to is Steel and Poison, and it's not weak to Electric, it's not weak to Rock. So this was fine with me. And we have Hyper Voice, Mystical Fire, Protect, and Yawn. Yawn is great. Yawn is one of the most annoying moves in VGC. I used to get upset about it all the time when I played. I hate when people yawn my D-Max Pokemon. It just cripples it to a point where you don't want to switch out your D-Max, but if you don't switch it out, then you only get one more move. Plus, they could throw up a Protect and just null and void that move anyways. So Yawn is very, very irritating. So that's what I have on the Sylveon. Hyper Voice is just good spread damage. A lot of Dragapults are running around. A lot of Punkelders are running around. That's basically the thing. I wanted something to deal with the fighting type weaknesses that I have because I have 3. So Sylveon usually deals with that pretty well. We have the EVs to Live, Excadrill, Life Orb, Max Steel Spike from Jolly with the Berry. So if you ever come into a situation where you need to pick up a little bit extra damage on Excadrill, a D-Max Excadrill, then you'll be saved by the Berry and you can get a Hyper Voice or a Mystical Fire off. We're running Protect just because, like I used to always say, it's VGC, you're going to need Protect on your Pokemon. If you're not putting Protect on your Pokemon, then you're not going to be able to play the mind games that you need to play with them, because if you can read a double and you Protect on that double, then they've just wasted a whole turn. So definitely want Protect on your Pokemon. And then the rest I just put in a special attack of Modest. It's a pretty standard Sylveon set. If you go to Pikalytics, this is what you'll see. These 4 moves are some run Hyper Beam, some run Quick Attack, and some don't even run Mystical Fire. So it's kind of a hit and miss on what you're running on your Sylveon. These are just the 4 moves that I felt benefited my team the most. Next is the Incineroar, the Figgy Berry. This is the same Incineroar set that me and a guy named Alcides, a bunch of you probably know him. He's been #1 on the ladder for whoever knows how many times. But we made this Incineroar set. It lives things like Durant, like I said. It lives Excadrill after -1. It lives most things. I'm just gonna say it lives most things. We got Flare Blitz, Taunt, Fake Out, U-Turn. Now, our Incineroar set had Snarl on it, and Snarl Incineroar is definitely a threat, but I didn't feel like I needed it. I really needed Taunt more because it gives us the Trick Room matchup that we need. Because like I said, Rillaboom is gonna get the Grassy Surge up last, meaning you Fake Out Indeedee, you taunt Dusclops, or taunt Mimikyu, or taunt Reuniclus, whoever. The only person you can't taunt is Hatterene, but with Hatterene, you lead Rillaboom, and you can Fake Out Hatterene, you can Rock Slide or whatever, you can Fake Out the Indeedee, try to go for a Steel Spike into Hatterene. I'm just nervous that most Hatterenes are going to be Berry, so I try not to go for the Steel Spike. Hatterene Indeedee is a little bit tougher, just because if Hatterene is running Berry, then you've got to play it a little bit differently. They'll probably get the Trick Room up if they lead those two. But either way, if I see Hatterene, Indeedee, and Dusclops on the other side of the field, I'm always going to lead Rillaboom and Incineroar just for the off chance that they do lead Indeedee and Dusclops. Because then, like I said, you just Fake Out Indeedee, taunt Dusclops. If they want to ally switch first turn, then you will taunt the Indeedee, and then they can't use Follow Me on the second turn anyways, and then you just taunt Dusclops. So that's always a winning matchup. No matter what, you always win that matchup. Then on turn 2, I usually U-turn out with Incineroar first, onto the Indeedee, go into Tyranitar, U-turn out into my Incineroar slot, so technically it's on Tyranitar now, and I go back into either Rotom Wash. Usually I bring Rotom Wash to those matchups because they always have Torkoal and Rhyperior, or I go back into Incineroar, depending on who I have in the back and if I want to save them or not. But then you get the Weakness Policy procced on your T-Tar, and then after that, it's pretty much game over. I think I still have, I have a replay somewhere. I posted it in my Discord chat a long time ago. Let me try to find that, because if I can find that, I'm gonna pull that up right now and kind of go through. Yeah, here it is. So let me see if this is on the layout. If y'all can see this, yes you can. Okay, this is perfect. You can see I'm facing a Trick Room team. And we're gonna play this with the music off. I'm facing the Trick Room team, and they go for Indeedee, Dusclops. Turn 1, my Rillaboom is slower than Indeedee, so you'll see their Psychic Surge goes up. That's great. And then our Grassy Surge goes up. So at this point, we are able to, I'm actually gonna make this a little bit faster. We're able to Fake Out Indeedee, and then we taunt the Dusclops, which is great. And they can't use Trick Room. So then we U-turn out. I think in this one my Rillaboom is actually faster before I change the speed. So we U-turn out with Rillaboom first, since we were faster there. Go into Tyranitar, we U-turn into our Tyranitar, out, and then into Rotom. And then they just forfeited, because at that point Tyranitar just demaxes and wins the game. But yeah, that's kind of the interaction that you're going to want to be looking for the Trick Room teams. Sun teams, we're a Sand team. We just basically beat Sun teams as long as we play our weather right. Triple Ghost is really, this is a good matchup with Triple Ghost, because you have the Dark type in Tyranitar, you have the Berry type in Sylveon. If they're running Excadrill, then if they're running Aegislash, then you have the Incineroar as your Fire type. You also get Intimidates off on Mimikyu and Aegislash. If they're running Dusclops, then you just have to rely on Tyranitar. But yeah, the Triple Ghost team is not really that big of a threat. There's also Durant teams. Like I said, Durant teams are probably the hardest teams. Like Durant plus Milotic is what I've been having the trouble with the most. You just kind of have to finesse your way through those games, honestly. You'll learn the matchup more as you play with this team. I'm going to leave a Pokepaste of this team down in the description. But yeah, that's the team. I've been having a lot of fun with this team. I think Rillaboom has covered a lot of the holes that VGC was having since Series 3 started. Series 3 for me kind of made VGC go and like, I don't know, it just was not fun, but Rillaboom has covered the holes that Series 3 brought up for me, and it's a lot of fun. Cinderace is also broken, so expect to see a lot of Cinderace. Probably I'll do a Cinderace doubles video on this team. Cinderace is easily the best Dynamax Pokemon that has hit the format. But yeah, that's the team. Have fun with it. Come back tomorrow for the battle video, and I guess that's where I'm gonna leave you. So if you like what you saw, like, comment, subscribe, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. See ya.